Hey there, this is Elias Whitfield, and this is the Freedom in Leaving podcast, where I talk about what it really takes to build a life somewhere else. Are Black Americans at risk for attacks in South Africa? My partner and I are in the middle of immigrating from the US to South Africa, so we've had to face the question head on: is South Africa safe for Black expats right now, with all these xenophobic-labeled protests aimed at immigrants? I dug into these protests themselves and what's really driving behind them, and I spoke about this in another podcast, Season 1, Episode 1. But let me tell you squarely, eye to eye, we are undeterred. Our plans haven't slowed down one bit. And that's not just us talking out the side of our necks from a couch in America either. We've been there, traveled across the country, and headed back. We've done the long haul flights, the layovers, the jet lag, the whole thing. We've walked the neighborhoods, Sea Point, Greenpoint, further up the coast in Tableview, outside the tourist traps. We walked alongside the ocean every morning, and we're not guessing about how folks feel about us either. I belong to a bunch of Black expat groups, Facebook, WhatsApp, you name it, large, active, and highly opinionated. And nobody's shy about telling each other exactly what their life is like, really. And not to mention my dear friends over there, who I talk to almost daily. We ask them straight up, and they give it back to us straight up. And absolutely nothing we've learned on our own or from anyone else has moved us from our plans. So, are Black Americans safe from the anti-immigrant backlash? The answer is a resounding yes, we are safe. We're safe for three very distinct reasons, and not all of them are comfortable to talk about. Number one, our visa, our motivation, our situation are just different. Unlike immigrants coming from many African countries, Americans aren't running from danger. We're not fleeing from religious persecution. We're not fleeing war or famine. Nobody's chasing us out. We are not asylum seekers either. Many of us are tourists. Others are students. Others are pensioners. Different reasons, same story. We chose to be here. We come from the wealthiest country in the world with a strong currency. As Black expats settling in permanently, we're not chasing economic opportunity. We're after geo-arbitrage, which is a fancy way of saying our American dollars stretch further down there. Money we've already earned or money we keep earning from back home. Plenty of us are retirees with pensions that go a long, long way. That means we can employ locals, drivers, cooks, caretakers, nannies for the little ones. Those of us still working age are working remotely for American companies, not South African ones. Or we're building our own businesses here. Businesses that hire South Africans and pay business and payroll taxes into the South African system. We're not hoarding jobs for our American friends and family. And that's not just good manners either, it's the law. If you start a business here on a business visa, at least 60% of your permanent staff has to be South African citizens or permanent residents. You have to prove it to the Department of Labor within 12 months. And when your visa comes up for renewal, the government audits it. They check whether the jobs are real, whether the contracts are legitimate, and whether you're actually training people and passing skills down, not just whether you hit a number on a spreadsheet. For those of us who do earn a living for South African companies, we do it as critical skills visa holders. In other words, white-collar work in technology, medicine, education, competitive skills where the South African government itself has stated it currently has a shortage of people with those exact skills. And when we go to the doctor, most of us pay cash or carry private insurance and use private hospitals. We're not standing in line for free government care we never paid for or paid into, which is what happens when immigrants overstay their visas. And our children are schooled differently: private school, homeschool, whatever fits the family. Either way, that's one less desk taken in a public school classroom that's already too full. Further, Americans have to prove we can afford to be here. Doesn't matter if you're a college student, a retiree, or a critical skills visa holder. You show the money. You show you can fly yourself home if it comes to that. Bottom line, Black Americans are not competing for low-wage jobs against native South Africans. We're not competing for public services either. Our motivation and our story are completely different from those of African immigrants. Yes, a lot of us are leaving a racially toxic environment in America, but we're leaving on our own timetable, at our own pace, and in our own comfort. Nobody is forcing us at gunpoint. Reason number 2: where we live makes a huge difference, and we really need to be honest about that. Poor African immigrants live right next to and up against poor South African natives. The angst between these two groups is beyond palpable. When you're living literally centimeters apart in a shoddy substandard housing unit, both of you are scratching to make ends meet. Black American expats? Well, we almost universally live in trendy neighborhoods or gated communities, places that struggling South Africans and poor immigrants can only dream about. The strength of the American dollar buys us that cushion or insulation. Where we live, it's quiet at night, real quiet. That quiet came to us because we were visiting or staying in the posher areas of town. And it's because we could easily afford it in this new, vast, beautiful, and cheaper country we soon will call home. Multi-million rand houses sitting behind stone and brick fences so tall you can barely see the roof, with electric barbed wire strung across the top. That's every luxury or upper middle class area in Johannesburg or Cape Town. And on the drive to Cape Town's airport, you pass two massive townships. Apartheid built these. They're still sitting right there. The well-to-do behind the wire on one side of the road, and everything apartheid left behind on the other. You don't have to go looking for it. It's literally on the way to the flight. That insulation is called privilege, and it's the exact dynamic I spoke about in my first podcast, where I laid out the anger in this country and where it builds from when prosperity gets walled off and never circulated back into the community that it surrounds it, standing right outside the gate. In one instance, it's the cause of angst. For us, it's an instant perk. And as expats, we must not take it for granted, not for one moment. Our safety here is not something we've earned. It's something our passports and our dollars bought us. And if we all hide behind a gate or all hide behind a wall, sip on our wine, and enjoy the exchange rate while the country burns outside the gate, then we're no better than the other groups that came here, colonized, stole the land, segregated, and imprisoned those who lived here from the very beginning and gave absolutely nothing back in return. So please use the resources, but in return employ South Africans and pay them properly, not the going rate, which exploits their services, but hire. Hire the driver, the caretaker, the contractor, and then treat them like people with names and families and not like the help. Buy from local businesses. Learn from the folks who were here long before you showed up with your American ideas about how things ought to run. Listen more than you talk. The financial privilege we carry is a tool, not a weapon. The moment we start using it like one, aiming it at people whose country we're actually guests in, then we become part of the problem I just spent the last podcast talking about. Point number 3. Our American citizenship and accent mean a lot. I've been told that folks here can spot Black Americans as they move through a space almost immediately. Remember, not all Black folks look alike. We may look similar, but not the same. We carry ourselves like Americans. We sound like Americans. We show up like Americans with our American expectations. It's easy to spot us. And thankfully, the people here know we didn't cause their problems. We're not the reason for the turmoil, and the South Africans understand that. As a result, we don't end up in the crosshairs of that anger and angst and resentment you hear about in the news. But is that really something to celebrate? The poor immigrant gets attacked. I get a pass because my accent tells everyone that I'm not the one they're angry at. That's not fairness. That's an accident of where I happen to be born. The least I can do is not swagger it around like I earned it. So come on over. Come on, hop aboard and hop the pond. The water's fine over here. Really, it is. Stay in South Africa for a while or stay forever. The choice is yours. Just don't come here thinking this country owes you a comfortable landing. Come here ready to give something back to the place that's letting you in. And that is it for this one. If I hit something in you and you want to reach out, please do. And if you want to order or read my book, The Freedom in Leaving, links are in the bio. The book is being released in October 2026, but there are plenty of podcasts and essays and video for you to read upon, feast upon until then. My website is thefreedominleaving.com. Again, thefreedominleaving.com. And also, touch back here again pretty soon for more podcasts at my Substack.